Hi, my name is Elizabeth Temajin, and I'm going to be your instructor for this course today. Our topic is verbal and nonverbal communication. What is a feedback sandwich? You may be thinking to yourself, what is communication? Communication is the exchange of information through speaking, writing, or using other mediums. You may also say to yourself, I've been communicating my whole life. Why do I need to study this in class? Communication has a lot of meanings and interpretations. It is important because it can build trust and relationships. It can improve teamwork and collaboration, reduce misunderstandings and conflict, as well as increase productivity and morale. This slide provides a great introduction to the concept of verbal versus nonverbal communication. When we think about verbal communication, we're referring to things such as conversations with other people, meetings at work, phone calls, and voice tone and clarity matter and make a difference in each of these situations and really add additional meaning to the message we are delivering. In the nonverbal communication category, we need to consider things like body language, facial expressions, appearance, and even personal space can say a lot about your disposition and your outlook and your meaning behind a message. Finally, in the last category, where we have written or digital communication, things such as emails, text messages, Microsoft Teams communications, or Zoom meetings, for the most part, these are considered nonverbal communications. However, the way in which they're constructed and delivered is just as critical as a verbal communication. Today we're going to talk about a technique called the feedback sandwich. The feedback sandwich is a way of giving somebody critical feedback, but surrounding that feedback with a compliment. So you would start with a compliment, then follow that with critical feedback, and close with an additional compliment. This is a great way to pass a message on to somebody else without them feeling threatened. Here is an example of a feedback sandwich. The first sentence is positive. The middle sentence is where the constructive critique happens. And then finally ending with another positive sentence to provide encouragement. So this is a manager speaking to their employee, and they start with a positive sentence. I really appreciate the effort you put into your work, and your attention to detail is impressive. Now the critique. I noticed that your last 2 reports were submitted past the deadline. Meeting deadlines is really important for the team's workflow. Is there anything preventing you from finishing on time? And finally, the manager ends with a positive sentence. I know you're capable of great work, and I'd love to support you in finding ways to manage the workload better. Let's discuss how I can help. Here is a second example of a feedback sandwich. In this situation, we have an employee named Harry who has just put a presentation together for his board of directors. His boss liked the presentation but had a few items for feedback. Harry, you put a great deal of time and effort into preparing your speech for the board of directions. It really showed. That's the first compliment. One thing to consider for next time is including more specific details about the upcoming merger, as that might give the audience a clearer picture of what to expect. That's the critical feedback. I'd be happy to help you brainstorm ways to weave in those details. Just let me know. And finally ending with another compliment. Now it's your turn to create a feedback sandwich. You will see before you 10 critique examples. What I would like for you to do is to choose 2 of these examples and rewrite them as a feedback sandwich. Each example that you write will have 3 sentences. The first will be positive feedback, the second will be the critique, and the third sentence will also be positive feedback, creating a feedback sandwich. These will be written and shared in the discussion section for this lesson.